Was a big victory for Democrats on Capitol Hill. Overnight, they got over their first hurdle in the road to passing the health care bill.
Political analyst Thom Serafin is here to break down what's next for the legislation. The big hurdle right now, they have to reconcile the Senate bill with the House bill. How's this going to play out? How's this going to work? Because the two bills are vastly different.
Well, the House appoints a few members for the conference committee. The Senate does the same thing. Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi will make those decisions. Rahm Emanuel, the chief of staff of the White House, will be involved and might even be in on the conference committee session. Certainly, he will have a big say. I mean, this was a big victory for the president last night. I mean, he's going to get his Senate bill passed. He's going to get his House bill passed. And then they're going to come together and like two cooks in a kitchen. One made a chocolate cake, the other one made a vanilla cake, and they're going to argue it out and try to get the vanilla and the chocolate all together and some kind of cake for the president.
In the meantime, though, while the polls are showing right now that most Americans do not like the Senate version, they don't like the House's version either, and you got people on both sides, the most liberal and the most conservative, who don't like the bill as well. So who likes the bill?
The president likes the bill because he's got something on the table. He said he was going to get something done before the State of the Union, and he's going to have something to tell the American people he's got a health care bill.
But how does this look politically? Because if so many people don't like it on both sides of the aisle,
it's got to be good then for a lot of people.
Well,
that's the key here, is that, you know, it's hard to make everybody happy with a bill. So is there enough differences in that bill that it could actually hurt the Democrats come in the 2010 election? And, you know, because Senator McCain was quoted saying, "We have just begun to fight." What is going to be the fallout?
Well, there's a lot of rhetoric, and I always like to go back to the latest polling data because it's a good barometer on where America is. And polls are just snapshots in time, but the most recent time in the last week, if people asked about the Democratic Party, you had 38% positive, 40% negative, 45% negative. If you asked about the Republican Party, you had 28% positive and something like 48% negative. But if you asked about the Tea Party, 41% positive. And there is no personality, there is no leadership in the Tea Party. More people are looking at the Tea Party movement now than they are looking at the Democrat or the Republican movement. So yes, they are very angry. It's a libertarian attitude out in the country, and I think the Democrats should be very concerned about 2010. But I think because of the legislation that they passed last night, or they began the process of passing, which should be completed this week, they must have an attitude. They're not worried about the losses in the 2010 congressional races. I think it's really about the 2012 re-election race. Because remember, the bulk of this bill doesn't go into effect until after the next presidential contest. So the president people won't feel the injury or the positives or whatever's going to come with this bill until after the president gets re-elected.
I guess the question,
or not re-elected.
If there's so many people who don't like it, why push it through? Why not give it some time then?
Well, that's the conundrum. Everybody's saying to themselves, why are the Democrats all jumping off the cliff? I mean, the vote was 60-40. 100% of the Republicans voted against this legislation. And there are some liberal Republicans, Senator Snowe and others, are on the other side of the fence when it comes to the conservative movement, but yet they decided not to vote on this bill. This bill is a compilation of anything that gets something passed. Listen, the Nebraska Senator Ben Nelson made a deal at the last minute. Now listen to this. Nebraska gets excluded. They pay no Medicare payment plans Medicaid plans under this legislation in perpetuity. The government will pick up that tab. Now, where was Roland Burris and where was Dick Durbin? They could have held out and maybe we don't pay. And right now, Illinois is suffering from those bills. The prescription drug companies no longer have any problems with importation of drugs. I mean, that's not dealt with. I mean, people used to, Rahm, remember, had an idea here with Blagojevich to go into Canada and bring those drugs here. Well, you can't do that now. I mean, so the prescription drug companies got something out of this. And the insurance companies, what do they get? 30 million new customers required by law. If you don't buy insurance from us, you're going to be taxed more by the United States government. I mean, this bill is a compilation of situations that I think down the road is going to be painful for a lot of people.
All right, Thom Serafin, thank you for your input on that one.
You're welcome.